I'm Brent. I've been working in the film industry for about a decade building software for artists. Checkboxes are one of the most frequent things you will find in a user interface. In this tutorial, we're going to go over QCheckBoxes in PyQt. Code and an article about it will be linked down in the description. Now let's get to the code. We're going to begin with some starter code I already have, so let's look at it. All of this code is really just for creating a window that we will need for putting our QCheckBoxes in. Up at the top, we have some imports for sys as well as some PyQt 5 stuff. Then we have a main window class below. All it does really is set a window title, create a layout, create a widget, and then set that as the central widget. If you haven't worked with layouts before, I have a tutorial on layouts, which you can find up above as well as down in the description. And below the main window class, we have a main function that sets up the application. The main window that we just defined shows the window and executes the application. And then down here, we run the main function. And if we run this code, we should just get an empty window. So let's do that. Python main.py. Yep, we just get an empty window that says my QCheckBox window. So let's create a QCheckBox. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to have to add an import to QCheckBox. So up at the top, we're going to do QCheckBox. And then down in the init method below main layout, we're going to create our checkbox. So we're doing self.checkbox is equal to QCheckBox. Space here. And then we need to put what we want the text next to the checkbox to be. And so I'm going to put, do you like checkboxes? And then we are going to add it to the main layout. So main layout dot add widget self dot checkbox. And that's all we need to do to create the checkbox and add it to the screen. So you just run QCheckBox and then give it the text that you want to be next to the checkbox. And I'm saving that in self.checkbox. And then we're adding the widget to the main layout by doing main layout.addWidget self.checkbox. And so if we go ahead and run that with Python main.py, we see here that we get our window that says my checkbox window, and then it has our checkbox. Do you like checkboxes? And you can check it. And we see that it has the checks when we press it, but nothing else happens. The next thing we're going to look at is how to set the state of a checkbox. So if we close this out and go back here, we are going to go below where we added the checkbox to the main layout. And then we're going to do self.checkbox.setChecked. And we're going to give it true. So this method, setChecked, can take a Boolean, so either true or false, to be able to set the checkbox. And since we're giving it true, it's going to setChecked. So if we go back and run it, you can see here that it starts off with the checkbox already being checked. Another useful thing for checkboxes is to be able to get the state. So let's get to that. So we're going to close this out, and we're going to go over here, and we're going to print out what the state of the checkbox is. So we're going to do print checkbox state, and we're going to do .format, and then we're going to pass it self.checkbox.isChecked. So the checkbox.isChecked method will return a Boolean, letting us know whether it's checked or not. Oh, let me fix this to checkbox instead of checkbix. and let's run it. So I'm going to clear this, and then we're going to run python main.py. And you can see here that it is checked like the last time we ran it. And then if you look up here, it says checkbox state is true. So you can see that it is checked. And the final thing that we're going to look at is how to react to when a user clicks on a checkbox. So we're going to close this out. And we're going to go up here. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to have to run an import, and we're going to do from PyQt5.qt core import Qt. Why we have this import, I will make very clear in a moment. So we are trying to react to when a user clicks on the checkbox. And so we are going to react specifically to a signal, and we're going to connect a function to when that signal is sent. So we're going to do self.checkbox.state changed.connect. And then we're going to give it the function name that we're going to be connecting it to. So I'm going to have a function named checkbox changed. Note, we did not put parentheses after this. We're just giving it the actual function and not actually running the function. So if we go down here and we define checkbox changed. The state changed signal comes with a parameter, so we're going to call it state. It represents the state of the checkbox when it was checked or unchecked. And now the reason why we actually had this import. So the state is not going to be a Boolean. It's going to be one of 3 values, because in Qt you can have a tri-state checkbox. We're not going to go over what tri-state is, but we just wanted to get the constants for dealing with whether it is checked or not. So we're going to print out whether it is checked or not. So we're going to do if state is equal to Qt dot check state dot checked. Then we're going to print checkbox is checked, else print checkbox is not checked. Okay, so to reiterate, we have connected to the state changed signal the callback function checkbox changed up here. And then what the checkbox changed function does is it, as part of it, it gets the parameter state, and that state is going to be, well, an integer, and Qt provides the constants for what the state actually means. And in this case, we are checking to see if the state is equal to qt.checkState.checked. And then we're going to print, if it is, print checkbox is checked. And if it isn't, we're going to print checkbox is not checked. You don't have to do it this way. You could just go and do like we did previously and just get self.checkbox is checked. But the callback will have this parameter available to you, so you might as well use it. So let's run it to show that it's working. So if we go and run python main.py, we get a checkbox just like we had previously. And if we go and click on the checkbox, you can see here that it updates and says checkbox is not checked. If I click it again, it says checkbox is checked. And those are all of the essentials you need to know about checkboxes. Thank you for watching. If you have any topics you would like me to cover in a future video, please put it down in the comments. I'm always open to more ideas. If you got value out of this video, please consider hitting the like button, and if you want to see more, please consider subscribing. And like all software made for movies, we test in production. Thank you, and I'll see you around.